think is the best double tonguing exercise for the flute that I inherited from a teacher. I know this was taught for decades at Juilliard, but it's a really good exercise, so I've written it out for you and I'm gonna put it up so that you can see it clearly, because I'm always giving this exercise out. I'd say at least 2 or 3 dozen times a year, both to my own students and to other students. And this is my favorite because it's really good for the back syllable. I talked in episode 13 about relaxed tonguing, and I gave another exercise, so I'll link to that. But this one is really good for the back syllable because it requires the back syllable to be just as accountable as the forward syllable. And when I say back syllable, forward syllable, we'll go into syllables that you can use also to double tongue. Most people use either ta-ka or da-ga. But first of all, I'll give you this exercise and then we'll talk about syllables to use when you double tongue. I know when I say this is the best double tonguing exercise, that's a controversial statement to make, but welcome to the world of flute controversy. The reason that I think it's the best double tonguing exercise is that it's both good to start students learning how to double tongue in the first place, but then as you continue doing it, you expand the exercise, and it's great for speed and, like I say, that back syllable, making it really strong and accountable like the forward syllable. So let's take a look at this exercise first. I say to start with 3 repetitions. That's confusing terminology, but that's why I have it written out. So if you look down at the 3 repetitions line in 2/4, da da da, that's 3 repetitions, and then you do 3 repetitions, ga ga ga. And then you introduce the 16th notes, but starting with the back syllable, ga da ga da ga, and then da ga da ga da. So you can see if you're a brand new flute student and you've never done this before, this is going to be a little bit of a confusing tongue twister at first, but you can pick it up pretty quickly, da da da, ga ga ga, ga da ga da ga, da ga da ga da, and then you just move up the scale chromatically, like I say, as high as you want to go. I usually don't go all the way up to the high C or D or something because I want to stay in a nice, comfortable range. I really favor odd repetitions because, as I've put down for the even repetitions, you have to put a rest in there, and I just like to give my tongue no rest. So rather than da 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 da, ga 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 ga, ga da ga da ga da ga, da ga da ga da ga da, I really prefer to just maybe do 5 instead of 4. Da 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 da, ga 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 ga, ga da ga da ga da ga da ga, da ga da ga da ga da ga da, so that, yeah, I'm not letting my tongue stop and rest very much. I also don't give a specific metronome speed because, of course, that is going to change a lot as you practice this. But it is very important to do it with metronome. You can check yourself, you can observe yourself getting faster and faster with it, and you can't let your tongue get lazy and go slower and slower as you continue with the exercise. So here's my good friend, Dr. Beat. You don't have to do it with a Dr. Beat. I just got all fancy with my metronome purchase.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So if I start with 3, da da da, ga ga ga, ga da ga da ga, of course I can do that really fast by now. But you can go up to 15, as I say, and 15 is a lot. So that's not my fastest speed, but that's 100. That's a comfortable speed for me to do. 15 is about 100 on the metronome, and I go faster than that. Go as fast as you can. But the one last thing I would say about speed on this exercise is don't go too fast too soon. Don't get sloppy. Be sure that your articulation has the quality that you want. It's not just accurate, but it sounds good before you go too fast. Moving on to syllables. I'm sure you noticed that I've been saying da and ga rather than ta and ka. You can use either. You get different things out of the different syllables. When I was 13 or 14, I switched flute teachers, and my teacher had me work on double tonguing. And one of the first things she told me was to think about syllable, and she really liked diggy, diggy, diggy. And I remember that when she told me that, my first instinct was, why does it matter what I'm thinking? I'm not gonna actually say that. What matters is how fast it's coming out of my flute. Well, guess what? What you're saying will affect the speed. So I finally realized that, and I repented, and I started to think about what syllable I was using, not just, well, I should just try to go fast. So daga and taka have different advantages and disadvantages to them. One of the main things that you should think about is that ta and ka are aspirated, and da and ga are not aspirated. What that means is, I think this is why flute teachers in the first place chose ta and ka, because you don't actually voice them. So if you're tonguing into an instrument and you're saying da, it sort of implies a little involvement of your vocal cords, but if you say t, t, that's no vocal cord involvement. Same thing with k and ga. You can't say ga without your voice. So I think it's just a matter of pedagogy that people came along and said, well, let's use ta, ka. But there's another important aspect, which is that if you put your hand in front of your face and you say ta, ka, ta, ka, ta, you feel a little burst of air with every syllable that you say, even if your hand's kind of far away, ta, ka, ta, ka, ta, ka. I can feel it several inches away. But if you say daga, 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 you don't feel that little burst of air unless your hand's right up against your mouth. So this matters in your articulation. It means that if you say taka, taka, you get a much more aggressive articulation. And if you say daga, daga, it's much smoother. So sometimes you might want the more aggressive articulation. If you're playing in a big ensemble, maybe you're playing with a percussionist and you need your articulation to really speak, then I will consciously say to myself, think taka, taka. But normally for double tonguing, what we're after is speed and smoothness, not these little bursts of air. And so if you say daga, 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 you can go faster and it will be smoother. The smoother I explained because they're not aspirated consonants. Here's why you can go faster. Pretend this hand is the roof of my mouth and here's my tongue under here. If I'm saying ta, ka, that's two very distinct parts of your tongue. Pedagogically, that's another good reason to have students start with taka, taka instead of daga, daga. Maybe they can feel those separate parts of their tongue better. If you say ta and then you say da, ta da, ta da, ta da, you can tell that da is just a little bit farther back from your teeth than ta is. Not very much, but a little bit. If you say kaga, 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 you can tell the back is noticeably forward. So basically what that means is you're using a lot less of your tongue to say daga, daga, daga than taka, taka, taka. So if you're doing taka, 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 you're involving more of your tongue and it's a bigger motion, it's gonna be slower. If you say daga, daga, or something like dugu, 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 vowel you should experiment with as well, because that will also influence your sound. But I like to tell myself that when I say dugu, 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 I'm hitting the same part of my mouth with both the D and the G. So I'm not thinking forward, back, forward, back. I'm actually trying to put ga, maybe even in front of da, so that I'm using the tiniest little portion of my tongue possible. And then you can go a lot faster than if you're saying taka, 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 taka. So let's get up and try this exercise. I'll go about 100. I'll do 3 first to get started, for beginners especially. My default is 7. I think for college students, and often for myself if I just want to go through this quickly, Da 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 ga 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 gotta get it, 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 get it. Gives you the idea, gets you going, it's enough. But often I will do 15. And of course you can do any number between those. But so today I'll demonstrate 3, 7, 15. All right, let's try 100 and we'll do 3 first, 3 repetitions. Slow and boring for me, and yet my brain is working pretty hard. I'm thinking about what I'm hearing. I want to be sure that the back syllable sounds just as clear and precise as the front syllable. If you hear me do da 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 ga 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 and you can't tell a difference between the front syllable and the back syllable, that's an excellent sign, because you don't want the back syllable to get mushy, which often happens, especially with beginners, that we might hear that it just sounds less precise and less crisp when you use your back syllable. So let's try 7. 100's pretty boring for me. I'm gonna bump it up. Let's try like 140. So here we go, 7. Slow, but I'll just move it up a little bit more. Let's do 150, and I'm gonna do 15 now. And of course you just keep going up. I mean, honestly, I usually go more like 200. One more thing to say. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Check out episode 13 because I include another double tonguing exercise. I talk a lot about your tongue, and I include a link to a free copy of Altez Etude number 12, which is also great for double tonguing.